So you know you would feel better if you exercise, you do your stretches, do your strengthening, but you just don't have the time. You don't have that 25, 30 minutes dedicated at the beginning of the day or the end of the day or even the middle of the day to get them done. So what do? Don't worry, I think I may have a solution for you. Everyone, welcome to the channel. Ed Dubu, physical therapist out of Integrated Physical Therapy in Bellingham, Washington. So a common complaint that I hear from clients is that, you know, Ed, those are great exercises. When I do them, I feel better, but I just don't have the time to get them done on a regular, consistent basis. So I just had a client this week, and she was having wrist and neck and shoulder issues, and she's working from home on her computer all day long, but she's really busy right now. She's taking care of her kids. She just does not have the time to give a solid half hour. So we came up with a little plan. I said, how about giving me 5 minutes, 5 different times a day during your workday? Thought about it. She said, well, I could probably do that. And so she went ahead and scheduled it into her computer. And then every time the timer went off, she would do one of the 5 exercises that we talked about. Breaking your day up and doing these little exercise snacks might be a nice way to get some exercises in, because remember, the benefits of exercise are on a continuum. Yes, if you do more, you'll probably feel better, but it's not like if you don't do a little bit, it can't help. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 exercises that I gave her that I think might help you also if you have any type of wrist, shoulder, and neck tightness. Make sure you stay to the end because I have a bonus exercise that might help even if you're having issues with blood sugar. The first exercise is a favorite of most physical therapists, especially if you're having any type of neck issue. Imagine banging on your computer all day long, you end up in this forward head posture, and the muscles at the base of the cranium just get really tight. So what we want to try to do is what we call a cervical chin retraction, or basically lengthen up that area. I'm exaggerating for cinematic effect, but if someone is down in this area through here, and we do a chin tuck, it opens up the back of the cranium and lengthens things up. Take a look at this vertebral artery. It's kind of an important thing, provides a little bit of blood for the brain. It comes up through here and then it hangs a sharp turn. So as we compress it down, that does us no favor. So the exercise is basic but effective. You're gonna stand up, you're going to put your scapula or your shoulder blades in your back pocket, so back and down. And then you're going to bring your chin back as far as you can. Notice I'm not going down, nor am I going up. I'm just bringing it straight back, and you should end up with double chins. And the idea here is that you're getting a nice stretch or elongation of the muscles in the back. Now in a perfect world, when you do a chin tuck, you shouldn't feel any pulling at all. If you do, that means you're hanging out in that forward head posture a little bit too much and things are getting tight. So I'll have you do 1 set of 10, regardless of what you're feeling. If you're not feeling any tightness, then it's perfect. It's just a nice way to elongate and to counteract any type of slouching that you might do after an extended period of time at your computer. So 1 set of 10, as far back as you can go, holding it for about a 5-second count, and then release it. After you finish your 10 reps, it's important to not release it back into this slouchy posture, but just be aware of where your neck is. The second stretch is going to counteract the forward shoulders that happens once again sitting behind a computer all day long. So how do you know if you've got forward shoulders or tightness of the pecs? I'll show you. As you look at yourself standing in front of a mirror, just take a look to see how your hands are positioned. If you see the back of your hands, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but if you see the back of your hands, oftentimes that's indicative of an internal rotation of the shoulder. It means the pectoralis muscles are tight and it's actually pulling your arm in. What should it look like? You should look like basically your thumbs are pointing straight in front of you and resting by your side. For the second stretch, or the chest opener, ideally works well as a doorway or a corner if you have it. Elbows are going to be a little bit above your shoulder. Right through here, relax your upper traps. We tend to excessively contract them. You're going to relax them, and then you're just going to gently lean in, and you're just going to feel a nice opening of the front of your chest. Now if you have any shoulder issues, I'll show you a way in which you can do it one arm at a time. But you're going to breathe and you're going to exhale. Remember, exhalation is relaxing to a muscle, so as you hold this position for anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds, focus on your exhale, and as you exhale, just take up the slack and hold this position until you feel like that chest opens up. Then what you'll do is you'll slide your arms down a little bit so your elbows are about in line with your shoulder. And then you're going to check the level of tightness here. And what you're looking for is to find out where you might be the tightest. Same thing, lean into it until you feel a good stretch. Focus on your breath. The third position, just drop it down a little bit lower, and you'll be able to step in a little bit further to kind of see how that feels. Now you might do all three positions, you might do one of the three, whichever one gives you the best sensation of opening up that chest. Some clients have a shoulder injury and they can't do that because it doesn't feel very good. You can do one arm at a time. Elbow above your shoulder, and then lean in a little bit, and then turn away until you get a nice opening of that pec. Change positions down below here, and then down a little bit lower, and turn into it until you get a good stretch. One thing to remember about neck pain is we really want to try to get our scapular muscles, remember these shoulder blades are called your scapula, our scapular muscles strong. Because imagine if I'm droopy through my shoulders and if I didn't have my shirt on, you could kind of tell that my shoulder blades kind of rotate out and up a little bit. And then after a while, the scapular muscles get weak. So the idea is to really focus on scapular strength, because the scapula kind of forms the foundation, if you will, for your head to sit on. So the stronger you are in between the shoulder blades, the more you'll be able to support your neck. Before I demonstrate this next exercise, it's called wall angels, and so if you've seen me before, you know all about them. But before I do it, let's just check your range of motion. So I want you to turn your head left as far as you can, gain an appreciation of where it feels, what it feels like when we get to the end, and turn to the right as far as you can. And oftentimes it's not uncommon to be a little tighter one side versus the other. And now we'll do the wall angels, and then we'll repeat that test. I want you to stand away from the wall, comfortably lean on the wall. We'll do a little bit of a posterior tilt, which means you're going to rock your hips back so your low back is pressing against the wall. You have a slight bend in your knees. You're going to bring your chin back, do that chin tuck that we talked about. So now we're elongating your spine. Your elbows are going to go as far back as you can against the wall, and now your wrists. So now you should be fairly uncomfortable, then you know you're doing it right. And then we're going to take our arms and we're going to glide all the way up and back down. All the way up and back down. If you're doing this correctly, you should feel the muscles in between the shoulder blades doing the work. This one is going to be 3 sets of anywhere from 8 to 15 reps based upon when you start to kind of feel a little bit of that burning going on in a good way in between your shoulder blades. After you've finished your 3 sets and you've kind of woke up, if you will, the muscles in between the scapula, it's going to be a little bit easier to maintain that good posture of scapula in the back pocket versus collapsing down into that forward head posture. Now, just like we did at the beginning, I want you to go ahead and turn your head to the left and turn your head to the right. And almost 9 times out of 10, you'll have a little bit more range of motion. So oftentimes I will do this when my neck clients come into the clinic before I even treat them. And they're like, wow, how did my neck range of motion get better? And really what we're doing is we're just improving the platform upon which the head sits. We're making those muscles aware of their job, and then all of a sudden, not surprisingly, they're rotating their head a little bit further. This next stretch is for all my carpal tunnel people out there, or anyone that has any tightness along the wrist or forearm. So what you'll do is you'll come to the wall and you're going to put your hand about shoulder height with your fingers tucked in and pointed behind you. My palm is against the wall and my elbow is locked. I'm going to start off close to the wall first, and then I'm going to walk back in an arc until I start to get a nice stretch, usually down through the forearm a little bit, maybe into the hand. Once I feel a good solid stretch, now I want to get a pec stretch, and so I'm going to rotate a little bit to the left. Now that's going to bring in the pec. So now I'm getting a nice stretch all the way up. Then I'm going to turn my head to the left and back to the right as far as it goes 3 to 4 times. And now I'm bringing a nerve glide into the situation. After I do it 3 or 4 times, I'm going to hold this position and I'm getting a nice stretch all the way up. You might get a little tingling. Don't worry about it, it'll go away. The idea though is to load it up to a tension that's appropriate for you. I have some clients that can only load it up about this far. Your goal is to be able to break perpendicular. I know you can't tell with the camera angle, but when you're doing this at home, you'll be able to tell if you're perpendicular. So the goal is to be able to break perpendicular with your palm against the wall and your elbows locked and your head's turned away. Then you know you don't have any excessive tightness of that area. You would do that for 30 seconds and repeat that twice on each side. The fifth exercise is if you're having any upper trap tightness. Now, I'm going to explain a concept real quick. It's called sensory motor amnesia, SMA. Big fancy phrase for basically saying is that the muscle has kind of forgotten what it feels like to be contracted and what it feels like to be relaxed. So there's almost a motor amnesia, and the connection between that muscle to the brain isn't quite as fluid as it needs to be. And oftentimes that muscle is then reset slightly tighter because we're holding a lot of tension there constantly. So the nervous system thinks, you know what, I guess that's normal. Let's just hit reset, and this is all of a sudden Ed's normal. So no matter how many times I get massaged or rubbed or chiropractor or what have you, feels great, but then the moment I'm done, my nervous system cranks up my upper trap. So this type of technique can be used anywhere, but it's particularly effective in the upper trap. So what you'll do first is we're going to stand in good posture, chin back just a little bit, shoulders are relaxed, and then I'm going to shrug my shoulders up as hard and as far as I can comfortably and really give it a good squeeze. Hold it, take a breath in, and then on the exhale, I'm going to relax it and let that posture sink in for a second. Then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to squeeze it hard, and then I'm going to relax it. And I'm going to do that about 10 times. I can almost guarantee you, once again, that when you're done with the 10 reps, you're going to feel like your arms are about 2 inches longer, maybe even dragging on the floor, because what we've done is we finally relaxed those upper traps. Now they're going to be more conducive to stretching. When you stretch the upper trap, this is what I want you to do. We're going to stretch the right side first. So what I'll do is I'm going to use my left hand and grab onto my right, and I'm going to anchor it down. Now my right shoulder's anchored, and I'm going to stretch it in 2 different ways. I'm going to rotate my head to the left, and then I'm going to look down. And that's going to give me a nice stretch along the side and back of my neck and upper shoulder. And I'm going to hold that for about a 10-15 second count, focusing on my exhale. And then I'm going to come back to neutral, reposition, take up any slack, anchor my arm. And now I'm going to look up and tilt my head back just a little bit. And that's going to give me more of an emphasis along this front part here. During these stretches, if you get any numbness or tingling, then it's best to back off in this situation. Unlike the one we did against the wall, I don't really like it when there's a lot of numbness or tingling, so back off on that stretch. It may not be good for you to do. Stretching the left arm, right arm comes through here, anchors it down, holds it. I've turned my head to the right. First I'm going to look down, and I'm going to hold that stretch, and I'll come back to neutral, reposition the anchor, and then I'm going to look up and slightly lean back and get a stretch towards the front of the neck and hold that for 15 to 20 seconds and repeat that a couple of times on each side. Now for the bonus. At the beginning of the video, I talked about 5 different exercises for 5 minutes. And so we just talked about them, and that's a nice way to break them up during the course of the day in case you don't have a full 25 minutes or 20 minutes to do the exercises either at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the day. Now, if you've been to this channel before, or if you've been in the clinic, you know that I love tracking your steps and trying to get a 30-minute walk in every day. And I take short little walks, and they all kind of add up to that 30 minutes. So what was interesting is, yes, you can, because once again, exercise is a continuum. Anytime I can get you up off your derriere, working, doing some sort of stretch, some sort of active exercise, I'm happy. What's interesting is I just read a study about if you can walk for as little as 2 minutes after you've eaten a meal, that can help to lower blood sugar levels. I have a lot of clients, and there's a lot of listeners out there that have diabetes type 2, or maybe pre-diabetic, or maybe they're just trying to control their blood sugar levels. So getting at least a 2-minute walk in after you've eaten lunch, or any meal for that matter, is really doable, and it can have a significant effect on lowering your blood sugar. So now you have no excuse not to do at least some of your exercises. The nice thing about doing 5 exercises for 5 minutes Monday through Friday is that on the weekends I say, you know what, don't worry about it. Get your walk in, stay active, but don't worry about it. So that way, every time you work, you know that you're getting little breaks where you get up off your desk, you're moving around a little bit, get a reason to go get a drink of water, you're doing your stretches, you're getting a couple extra steps in, and then you don't have to worry about your exercises because you got them done during the day, and then on Saturday and Sunday when you're not working, don't worry about them because you're doing them 5 out of 7 days. If you found the video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and ding, turn on your notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please leave it down below. Let me know if your 5 for 5 works. All right, take care.